one of my publishers was setting up sessions and was like, Liz Rose wants to work with you. Are you down? Wow. And I was like, Liz Rose? I was like totally freaked out. And we met up at her house. And I played piano and we wrote a song, and it was like the most like surreal I've made it moment. Hi, Adam. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Hi. That hi you just gave me was like such like a hey, old friend.
That's how I like to we just keep it like that. Hey, old friend, how are you?
Love it. Yeah, we go way back. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm doing well. I'm just like kind of basking in the like album release hangover a bit.
I bet.
No, I'm so grateful, and yeah, I'm good. I'm well.
That's good. I like that. The album is amazing, I must say, right off the bat. So it's incredible. I'd love to chat with you about the record, and then obviously everything else prior. I mean, this podcast is about you and your journey in music and how you got to where you are now.
Let's get into it.
Let's. Born and raised in San Jose. Is that what I read?
Born and raised Californian.
Awesome. I'm from San Diego. I lived in the Bay Area for about 5 years or so doing radio. Yeah.
I lived in Encinitas for a brief year.
Is that right?
Yeah. Where are you at in San Diego?
Well, I'm not there I'm in Nashville now, but in San Diego, I used to live in.
I just bought a house in Nashville.
Did you really? We recently moved here like a year ago. So are you in Nashville?
I'm in LA now. I'm going to be living kind of between the two spots.
Amazing.
But yeah, I got a little house there, and it's like out of a storybook. It literally looks like the cutest little storybook house. It's like a baby. It's only 1,600 square feet, but it looks like a little baby castle, and I'm a baby princess.
I love that. I love it out here. I mean, it's such a different vibe, but it's so amazing. It's so cool out here.
It's like so much more down to earth.
For sure. And it's so green. I mean, yeah, we were back in San Diego. My sister got married last weekend. And so we were back in San Diego. I hadn't been back since December. And it's just like, oh my God, like, it's so weird to see just like concrete and like everything else out here. It's like limestone on the side of the freeways. And it's just, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I really love Nashville. Also just like, despite sort of common belief, it's not just a country town. Like a lot of my friends who are sort of like up and coming buzzing artists like Daniel Nunnally or Steven Sanchez were based out there. And I mean, there's just a whole nother world of music that people I think forget about there.
I definitely had that ignorance when I moved here. I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool, but like, is it just going to be all country artists? And no, not. I mean, all different walks of the music industry. It's awesome. Well, talk to me about San Jose. You born and raised in San Jose.
Born and raised.
Tell me about San Jose. I mean, I lived in the Bay Area, closer to Oakland, but I went down to San Jose, went to Shoreline and did some things down there. And
Shoreline. I saw John Mayer at Shoreline, like, gosh, in 2012 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a cool venue. I worked for Live 105. Do you know that radio station?
Yeah, Live 105.
And now I think they're called like Dan FM or something weird, but
Dan.
Yeah, it's just some dude's name. But yeah, so that's when I worked up there, and we used to do shows there. But before it changed to Dan FM, it was Live 105. Obviously. Yeah. So
I don't have any family there anymore. I hardly ever visit. I mean, it'd always be like Bay Area represent, but yeah, it's not that deep. I don't go home much. And
okay. What was it? What about music? Do you come from a musical household at all?
Honestly, I don't. It's
okay.
Funny. I've always been like the odd duck in the family that this was something that I would pursue. It's funny. My mother and I have basically the same exact talking voice. Like,
oh, interesting.
Like if I turned the camera off and she just started talking, you'd think that you were still doing an interview with me. It's kind of I don't know, kind of amazing, but also she cannot hold a tune. Like she couldn't sing to save her life.
Really?
You'd think that she'd be good at it because we have the same, I don't know.
Right.
But
Were you able to like when did that happen? Like, were you in high school? Or were you able to be like, to call in and say, oh, Ash isn't going to be able to make it to school today. And, use her voice to kind of just make some decisions on your own?
be so genius. I'm like a notorious rule follower.
Okay.
As much as I like to think of myself as a rock star, I'm the least rebellious music artist out there.
Okay.
But if I would have been, I would have totally gotten myself out of school. I mean, like, she's not smoking weed. She just has the flu. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But so mom can't carry a tune, obviously. What about your dad? Did he play anything or no?
Construction worker.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
No,
Okay.
just no one in the family. I guess my great grandma was like a piano savant or something.
Oh, wow.
I never knew her, so I
Mhm.
didn't up around it. But yeah, it was definitely like people were surprised that I was like, I'm gonna go to music college, and they're like, that's a choice.
They're like, that's cute.
That's so cute. I know. I think they're all still like, this worked. Like,
Right.
you bought a house in Nashville off music? Like, I think they're all still a little bit in the twilight zone. My grandparents didn't really think I was successful until I sang on American Idol with Phineas, like, gosh, a year and a half, 2 years ago now. And that was like, they're like, oh, okay, she's a star. Okay, we get it. Like,
Yeah, she's on TV. We get it now. That's funny. Like, I'll interview artists and they'll say like their parents didn't understand that they made it until like they were in the local paper. Like they would have covers of magazines. Then it's like, oh, and then Johnny was in the local paper, so we knew he made it at that point.
He's making it. Yeah, I don't know what it was for my parents. Definitely for my grandparents, it was American Idol. And it wasn't like I was a contestant. I like was a guest with Phineas, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then, yeah, I think my mom is such I could be, I don't know, working at Starbucks or anything else, and she would be proud. She could care less.
That's awesome.
Any of my success.
Well, they must have been supportive though, obviously. If she didn't mind if you were doing Starbucks, she probably was so excited to just let you pursue what you wanted.
Yeah, I think they genuinely all were just like, it's your life. We love you. We obviously hope that it works because it's hard. But are very much like, my mom especially is very like, I just want you to live a life that you are fulfilled by. And whether that's making coffee or making music, like, follow your bliss. So yeah, I definitely was very supported in that. As much as I think they didn't get it, I think they were also like, well, good luck.
Right.
Break a leg, I guess.
When did you kind of get into music? Did you take voice lessons or piano lessons or anything like that at an early age?
I took piano and voice lessons when I was like 8, maybe 8 through like 12, 14, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And
was that a choice of yours, or did your mom or dad be like, oh, maybe you should jump on the piano?
God, I don't even know. Someone threw me in. I don't think I were asked to do it, but as soon as I started doing it, I just it was one of those things that I was like, oh, I get so much joy out of this more than anything else that I've ever done. And except my piano teacher low-key hated me because she'd always tell me to learn this piece of music, and then I'd come with a original piece of music, and I was like, listen, how much better it sounds. And she's like, yeah, but you didn't learn the piece that I told you to learn. So that would be a thing. But I think I just have always enjoyed sort of, I don't know, expressing myself through music. Hated that I hate that that's what I just said, but yeah.
But to be that early on the piano and already coming and being like, I created this, instead of, all right, let me try to figure out what the teacher, like, you already kind of had that self-awareness that you were already, kind of writing music yourself at that early of an age.
Yeah. I mean, I've been journaling forever. I think I was always trying to convince my cousins to like make a girl band with me. Probably
Oh, wow.
like 8, 9 years old. And they were all like, this is stupid. And I was like, we could write about anything. We could literally write about squirrels. Like, it doesn't matter. And I mean, they didn't want to write about squirrels. So, but then I think I really started writing more like in high school. And then this whole thing happened very slowly over time. Like it wasn't a Billie Eilish, I'm a genius, I know what I want to do with my life at 16. It was very, I love music. It's my favorite thing to listen to create. And, I'm going to go to music college and see how that plays out. I'm going to move to Nashville and do songwriting and see how that plays out. And then, about halfway through Nashville, I was like, wanted to tell my own stories, and some weird reason I got the confidence to try and do the artist thing. And
so prior to that, you were just writing like for other artists? You had like publishing deals and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would
wow.
get any room they'd let me in. I mean, I was doing like 2 songwriting sessions a day, every day for like 3 months straight. And
wow.
I put myself through my own boot camp, because I was like, what everyone tells you, whatever the 10,000 hours or whatever.
10,000. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I'm going to double it. I just wanted to, well, maybe not anymore. I used to be very disciplined. And so I wanted to like, if I'm going to get great at something, then I'm going to really go after it. And yeah, so that's kind of how it all sort of started.
Well, I don't know if you mind, real quick, I'm just curious. I mean, to get into Berkeley, right? I mean, that's like top tier level, like school. I mean, for music, John Mayer went there, talking about people earlier, but it's like
John Mayer dropped out,
but he got in, right?
Yeah,
so it's like,
sorry,
go ahead. I was just going to say, like, to get into that school, you obviously you have talent, but to know that you had enough talent to get in that school, like what did you present to Berkeley? Like, tell me about that process just to even get in there. You had to have some sort of validation that you were good at what you're doing.
I think what got me in, because I got a partial scholarship to go as well. And
wow. See, you're obviously awesome at that age.
Well, I mean, I was okay. They let anybody into Berkeley these days. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
That's not true. Berkeley's a great school. I love it there. But I think I auditioned with a Norah Jones song. I sang Don't Know Why.
Okay.
And then I sang 2 original songs. And I think it was the originals that maybe got me over the line. They probably weren't any good, but at the time, I think maybe I showed potential or something.
Yeah. Well, obviously, and then to have the courage to put up your own songs, because it sounds like you were just writing for other people, and then, after the fact, and then before you said you started your artist project, but to have your own songs, and like, were these songs that you were showing other people, or was it just, okay, I write these in my bedroom and I'm not telling anyone I do this, and then I'm going to submit it to Berkeley? Like, was that a surprise to anyone?
I did like little coffee shop, like open mic songwriter things.
Okay.
I didn't do very many of them, but I remember I'd be like, okay, we'll test this out. But there was this one girl that I was friends with in high school. She was a year older than me, and she had this gorgeous voice, and she was a songwriter. And I remember just always feeling inferior. Like, it's me and her, and that's it. Like, there's no other worlds. There's just us. And I don't know. I think I really got into my head that I wasn't good enough to do any of this. And it took a really long time to get to a point where I was like, no, I can do this. And God love her. And I think she loves her life, but she's not doing music anymore. And, it's just funny to see how things unfold.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, I mean, you get into Berkeley, which had to be such an amazing moment for you, receiving the letter. Who knows if it came in an email or whatever. I'm old, so it was a letter.
It was a letter. I'm old too.
Okay, no, you're not. But so you get this thing, and it's like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna open it up, and we're going to Berkeley, and big moment at the household, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, the scholarship bit too, it was like, what, that's just, it felt very impossible and exciting. And
Mhm.
also there was just like a lot going on at home and stories that maybe one day I'll get to tell, but they're, stories that belong to other family members too. But,
Sure.
my brother
Mhm.
died of
Yeah,
addiction.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, that personally, because I'm also an addict and alcoholic, and I'm in recovery, and actually I get to pick up my 9-month chip today. But I've been through this for like, numerous times and years. And when I
Nine
heard,
months is
yeah,
amazing.
thank you. That really means a lot. But I watched the you in another interview talking about it, and I was just like it broke my heart, like honestly, because
It sucks, you know. I'm so grateful that you are healthy.
thank
Um,
you. It means a lot. It's definitely a tough, tough thing. And to hear that, from what I heard you say and what I read, he had 3 years, and it's just 3 years is 3 years, but it's so easy to just go back out, right? I mean, it's not.
just one day at a time.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just like mental health, period, is one day at a time. I'm like
Yeah.
checking in with myself every day I wake up. I'm like, how are we today?
Right. Right.
Um, yeah. So, but I mean, just kind of tying that into definitely around his addiction, a lot was going on at home. And uh Berkeley just offered 3,000 miles of distance from sort of all of the chaos and sort of instability. And so as much as it was like great to go to music school and it was about that, it was also like my first time really prioritizing like me and figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. And like, I didn't know what my favorite color was. And I finally figured it out at college. And so there was just like, Berkeley was about, learning more about music, but mostly about, I feel like, kind of discovering myself and all
Sure. I
that. Yeah.
mean, having a younger sister myself and being the, disaster, if in the fully addicted
Mm.
mayhem that happened when I was younger, and just like seeing how she was kind of, the attention becomes on the person that's kind of, with that problem. And then I could see how you could be like, oh my, it's kind of, the attention is kind of shifts, I would imagine.
Well, I mean, I think it's it's both sides, right? Because like you maybe like for me, maybe at the time I felt a little bit like, hey, I'm the healthy one, why is all the attention going over here? But
Right.
for him, he was like, he always felt, even though he was my older brother, he always felt like I was living in my shadow. And he always felt like he was the screw up and I was the good kid. And so, while I was having my own feelings, he was having feelings of
Hmm.
really worthless and like, Ashlyn's the favorite because she's healthy and I'm the screw up. And then I'm on the other side going like, everyone's paying attention to you, but like, so
Right. No, oh
yeah.
my gosh, that's so relatable for me to hear that. That's crazy. Just because I have a younger sister, and it's like the same thing. I feel like she's like, you're talking to me as her, like, and then you know what I mean? It's just bizarre.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful that she still has you.
Oh,
Like
well, thank you.
I'm so, I mean, that was definitely something for me that was like, oof. There were so many conversations that we needed to have that we never
Mhm.
got to have. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm so sorry to hear about that.
go have those chats with her.
Sure, sure. Wow. Well, I'm so sorry. And obviously you have a song about that on your, not the new record, but the first debut album. But I would love to hear. So you get to Berkeley,
Mhm.
you end up graduating and then moving to Nashville. And when you get to Nashville, did you have like a demo, some songs that you're ready to present to people? Or like when you get to Nashville, like what drove you to Nashville aside from it being, where all the songwriters are? Was it just like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to try to make this happen?
I think the biggest thing was just everyone I was graduating with, it was New York, LA, or Nashville.
Uh-huh.
Most people were going to New York or LA. And I was like, I'm going to get eaten alive in New York or LA. I just had this like knowledge, or this like internal knowing that if I went to one of those cities, I was just going to have to be someone I didn't want to be to make it. And Nashville, I mean, is growing, and it's getting bigger and bigger now. But at the time, it really felt like it was a small enough town that I could be myself and kind of get recognition and meet everyone in town that I needed to meet fairly quickly. And so it was just a better place to go at ground zero of my career. And not have it all figured out. Like, I felt like I had friends who were like, I know exactly what I want to do with my life, so I'm going to LA and I'm going to do it. And I mean, good on them. I didn't have it figured out. So Nashville felt just like kind of like a safe haven, but also a place that I knew I could like really work my ass off and kind of make a name for myself pretty quickly. So that's why Nashville.
Okay. Were you able to meet people pretty quickly once you got there, or was it, I mean, were you going to open mic nights, pounding on doors? Like, what was the first kind of in for you?
I was doing literally anything and everything possible. I was going to the songwriter rounds. I wasn't playing any open mic nights because I wanted to be a songwriter. But yeah, it's funny, actually, I had this connection to Liz Rose, is like one of the most amazing songwriters of all time. She worked with Taylor Swift a bunch back in the day. She wrote Girl Crush, which was just like an incredible song. And she's amazing. She was like my idol. When I moved to Nashville, I was like, one day I'm going to work with Liz Rose. And somehow I got a meeting with her son.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember why. Like, sorry, I'm a little foggy on it, but I remember
no, this is amazing.
We met up, and he just gave me a bunch of tips. He was just like, be going out constantly, meet everyone, get in any writer's room you can, And like, probably pretty nicely was like, and you know that you're not going to write with my mom, right? Because you're just starting out.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how he probably was really sweet about it, but he was like, you got to prove yourself, right? And full circle moment for me, like 2 months ago, one of my publishers was setting up sessions and was like, Liz Rose wants to work with you. Are you down? Wow. And I was like, Liz Rose? I was like totally freaked out. And we met up at her house. And I played piano and we wrote a song, and it was like the most like surreal I've made it moment of my career.
Oh my gosh. And that was so recent. You said just a few months ago.
It's 2 months ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Just like kind of starting to write again. The RIAA had already been kind of finished, and just playing around with some new ideas,
Is this going to be a song for you, or what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, well, who knows? Maybe somebody else. I think that everything I write these days is pretty much all for me. Just, I think I'm better at it. I rather tell my own stories.
Sure.
That may change, maybe in a couple of years, I'm like, I get the itch to like write for other people. I mean, if they want me to, God, I don't like.
Right.
I feel like I do have a very like distinct vibe, songwriter wise, that like, I'm not sure it suits everyone. But yeah, we got in the room and we wrote about a breakup, my last breakup that I went through. And it was super fun and therapeutic and just cool to be in the room with her. And yeah.
Sure. Wow. That's huge. I mean, you're talking about writing with other people, doing your 10,000 hours. At what point, or was there a particular song that you had written that you were like, okay, I want to start my own artist project. I'm kind of done writing for other people. I want to take a stab at this myself.
I think I just like around 6 months into living in Nashville, I just got kind of sick of writing like for someone else's voice. And I think I I recognized I was now in the real world, and I was no longer in college. I was now in the real world, working with real people in the rooms with amazing writers. And I think I was like, I don't know why I had it in my head that I wasn't good enough, but I think that's a lie. And I think that I could do this and do it really well. And that once there was like a shift in my brain, there wasn't like, a train hit me and like I knew in that moment that I was going to be an artist. I think it was just this like gradual thing where at some point I was like, you're not a piece of shit. You can do this. And I bet you could do it better than a lot of people. Like there was just this knowing suddenly. And then I moved to San Diego, Encinitas.
Wow. Okay.
And with my, at the time, fiance, who I married and then divorced.
Oh, wow.
But moved to San Diego. He was from San Diego. So we moved there, and it got me kind of closer to LA.
Uh-huh.
And it was like within a few months that I had signed a record deal.
Yeah, you signed with Mom and Pop, correct?
Yeah.
I love that label.
I'm still with them too. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's so awesome. David Jacobs is such a cool person. I'm sure you know him.
David, yeah, I just saw him. He came to my Troubadour show 2 nights ago.
Oh, cool. I love him. I've known him through radio and then into this podcast. But yeah, so you signed the deal with them, and was it like you get to San Diego, and did you already have a song out at that time, or because I know you've had a bunch of number ones on Hype Machine, and you did stuff with other people before that, which is insane. But were any of those songs what kind of drew in Mom and Pop, or was that after the fact?
God, long live the days of Hype Machine.
I know, that's crazy. You had a number one on a Hype Machine. It was like over.
Yeah, you were.
You were it.
You're a viral hit.
Yeah.
I know, it's funny to have been in the business long enough to have seen just how much, sorry, my computer made a weird noise. Just to see how much it's changed, like even in the last year. God, no wonder why people quit. It's hard to keep up. This shit is hard.
So fast, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at the power, TikTok holds, when literally 2 years ago, Moral of the Story was one of the first songs to go viral on TikTok. And we had no idea what was happening. We were like, this is a total new animal. There was no blueprint. It was still felt so sort of new. It's just a weird, for good, bad, the ugly. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to make a judgment about it, but it's fucking, it's hard.
Yeah. Because TikTok that was before pandemic, right? And then that's when every mom and everyone else is on there doing dance moves but to have it viral on there before that really all started to kick in is insane. Yeah,
it was weird, strange time. I mean, grateful for all of it. I mean, half the secret to making it is just not quitting, just sticking around and being willing to evolve with the music industry to an extent on your own terms. You obviously don't forsake your own beliefs and the way you want to do things. But if you can evolve and stay honest to who you are as an artist and not quit, I mean, you're going to withstand a lot of other people. Most people will quit. It's crazy the people I've seen fall off in the last 6 years, So,
yeah, no.
That was a tangent, but
no. That's beautiful. I'm going to ask you a similar question at the end of this. But I was curious. Okay. So pandemic hits, that song is doing awesome. And have you started writing did you write Ashlyn yet? Or were those songs not even out, or I mean, not out, but not even started at that point, like when the pandemic happened?
No, it was definitely the pandemic was Moral of the Story started to take off in February of 2020. And then March is when
pandemic hits. Yeah.
So we were planning an international radio tour and all this stuff. And then all those flights got canceled because we couldn't leave our house.
So everything's shut down as you're pretty much at your peak. I mean, that to see all that stuff happening, like that must have been obviously devastating that there's a pandemic, but did you feel like the rug was kind of tugged out from under you? Or is it like, how am I going to, is this going to be able to keep going now that we're up here and all the attention is not there right now, I'm sure.
I mean, hey, it's the way it went. So
Sure.
I think at the end of the day, I was kind of taking what I was given. I'm very firm believer that things happen the way they're supposed to.
Mhm.
Even down to like going through all the things that I did with my family and my brother, you learn to roll with the punches, and you learn to like, life's gonna kick you in the teeth because it's
Mhm.
life, and you just figure it out. And so I was sort of relishing in the joy of, my career changing, and also kind of recognizing maybe it's an inopportune time in the world.
Mhm.
But we really, I mean, honestly, like where I'm at right now, I think we really leveraged it into a career. I'm
Mhm.
not, that song is objectively my best song, my best performing song, right?
Sure.
But no one looks at me as moral of a story. Like I've gained some sort of career recognition of that's an art.
Right. Yeah, it's not, oh, she's the girl that does more of the story. Right.
And I think that's really hard to do. And I feel
Oh yeah.
for kids who are having like a viral song on TikTok right now, it feels nearly impossible. I mean, it's not impossible, but if it's really hard to turn that into a legacy,
Right. No, that's
So
beautifully put. Because a lot of the times too, it's a song that happens or goes viral, and it's like, oh, well, I didn't even have anything else. Like it was just that, and then it's, do I chase that? Do I try to write another song that sounds exactly like the one that just went off? Or I've
yeah,
interviewed artists that have had teasers of a song that wasn't even finished yet go viral, and then it's like, oh, like now I got to go finish the song, and hopefully people will still stream it on Spotify or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What a trip.
Wow.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it is what it is. It's pretty weird times we're living,
Mhm.
for sure.
Sure. So so that obviously that song's doing awesome. And when do you start writing the record or the album?
Pretty quickly after. I like 2 months into Moral doing its thing. I collaborated with Niall Horan, and that was like my
Mhm.
sort of sort of a backup to be like, okay, let's keep pushing this song. Let's like,
Mhm.
and Niall couldn't have been more lovely, and we had the best time. And it was pretty quickly after that I started writing the album, because it was like, oh, people care. Like
Mhm.
let's do the thing that I love to do most. Now I'm afforded that opportunity to do it, and people actually want to they actually want to hear what I got coming next. So
Mhm.
that was pretty cool. Worked on the album.
Were you concerned at all by like having, it's almost not like a sophomore album that you just released and it's doing well, but it's like having that follow-up song. Are people going to care again?
I think I subconsciously was feeling a lot of that pressure at the time. I just had never experienced like that level of success yet
Mhm.
in my career. So I was just learning how to navigate it best I could, whilst being as honest as, possible. There was definitely a lot of pressure during that time, but I think it was more what I put on myself. Not even my team didn't even. They were just like, keep doing what you're doing, because that's how this
It's
happened.
working. Yeah.
And yeah, so I never felt like the pressure to write another moral of the story.
It's good.
Um, I wrote it about my divorce. There wasn't really, I didn't want to write another song about, like, I didn't want to delve into exactly that thing. So yeah, it was an interesting time. I was still grieving that relationship. So a lot of that album is me sort of the aftermath of that divorce and kind of coming to terms with all of it. And it's a very serious record, I think, in a lot of ways. And
and a vulnerable record. Not only to have all those, talking about the divorce and everything else, but then you add Ryan's song is on that record, right? And that was, didn't you add that later? Is that what I read?
Yeah, it was the last song we wrote on the album, because the album was done and then he died. And then I was like, album's not done. We gotta write one more for,
How soon after were you able to actually sit down and write? I mean, I think that would be really hard to do.
It's pretty quick. It's just the way I like filter my life. It's like, I wasn't even planning on releasing it when I first sat down. I just knew that was how I needed to kind of process it.
Sure. Yeah.
And then as I started to write it, I called my producer that I work with all the time, Leroy Clampitt, and was like, album's not done. We got to add this last one. But it was pretty quick after. It was definitely, because I was reeling with all those thoughts of like, oh gosh, if I would have known you weren't going to be here much longer, I would have picked up the phone when you called, and that just like, regret feels too heavy of a word, but just that feeling of like, we don't know how long we have with the people we love. And then actually there's a record on Rae on the sophomore album called Love Is Letting Go.
Yeah.
Kind of a tribute.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, kind of a tribute to him as well, right? I mean,
yeah,
with Diane Keaton on that one. So yeah, I want to hear about that one as well. But to add that as the additional piece, and then going in, it must, you obviously knew how to make the record, so you go in and do it, and then put the album out. And not only is the album already vulnerable, and then to add that song to it, just another layer of vulnerability there.
Yeah, she was a vulnerable album for sure.
Yeah.
A very clear snapshot of sort of where I was at the time. And I think that's like an album's job, is to like kind of clue you in to where an artist is at the time. And that's sort of exactly what happened with Rae. It was like this complete,
it's similar, right? I mean, another super vulnerable record when you get into this new one.
Super vulnerable, but way more fun, I'd say. Like, I arguably had more fun writing it. I was maybe a little bit less serious, and I really didn't give a shit what anybody wanted me to make. Or
I love it.
Not that I am surrounded with really wonderful people around me. They don't really have an agenda for me, but I definitely felt and still feel like, oh gosh, based on the songs that are doing really well in the world right now, I don't know if people want to hear the music that I want to make, but I'm going to do it anyways. That's the music I'm going to make anyways. But it's been really like, I've been really grateful to see the reaction's been so good. And that was a kind of a surprise in a weird way.
I love how the album opens too. It's like it has that jazz piece in the very beginning. And I remember reading about you in jazz is a big part of a big influence for you, correct?
Yeah, I really delved into jazz when I went to Berkeley. It's like it's a jazz conservatory, they would say. And God, I just fell in love with big band records and singers like Ella Fitzgerald and Mel Torme, and just really delved deeply into that world. But it's got like a little like film noir. There's like a little bit of like, I wanted it to feel like maybe you were walking into like a sexy Western or something. I love that, in the intro, you can kind of hear a door open and it's as if you're like walking into this new world. And it definitely has that jazzy element. And it's super playful and fun, and that clarinet solo is crazy, and yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And then so obviously, like when you pick your singles from this record, like was that pretty strategic? Like, do you know that you're okay? I'm going to go with this, then this, then this, and this to kind of tell the story or lay out what the record's going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, we released too many singles for sure. I stand
Why
by.
do you say that? We released too many singles.
We did. I mean, the album just like it works as one whole thing together. And
Uh-huh.
I believe I'm an album artist. And so I think it was just a matter of like, I started teasing Another Man's Jeans
Mm-hmm.
early. And we were like, okay, we got to catch up, because it was kind of one of those, like, there was a demand or like on TikTok or whatever. And we're
Right.
like, shit, we have to finish the song and like put it out. And I think I don't really even know. Every strategy is different of rolling out an album. I think I'm happy with the way it all went. It just felt like too many, more for my own mental health. Like, if I'm just being very honest, it's too much. It's like a release, when a song comes out, like release day or album release day, it's, yes, the work is done, but it's this like energetic wave of just insanity that hits you.
Mm-hmm.
And so do that 6 times and release an album, it's too much. So, and yeah, and I've already talked to my label about this. We're all on the same page. We're like, okay, cool. Next time we'll just do a little bit less.
Right. But you also want to give each song kind of its own moment, right? I mean, especially nowadays with streaming and people's attention spans, like I feel like that it's a tactic people have been doing where it's an album. I love that you did an album, because I feel like that whole world is almost disappearing unless are the top of the top.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you just have to like, you got to do it on your own terms. Because
Mm-hmm.
what's the point of doing anything if you're not sort of doing it your way? And I think that like, even if the industry is definitely leaning maybe more towards a singles focused world, but like the worst thing for me to do is do things exactly the way that maybe I'm supposed to and then quit because I'm miserable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that regardless of the way things will ebb and flow and change, I think staying sort of true to sort of, I'm going to make an album. I'm an album artist. That's how I want to create music. Do it in this, like, like I said, like snapshots of my life, and love it or hate it. At least I'm not going to quit,
Mm-hmm.
at least
Right.
I'm going to stick around for the tour, and I'm going to do the thing. So yeah, I mean, I'll release more singles. Don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
we'll see how many next time.
Okay. Well, I love albums because there's a reason why you put the first song, how it opens up, but even like the 5th song as where it is and the 9th song where it is, because it's just the way that it feels. And that's probably something that took, hours and days on its like by itself, that I feel like not as many people really will pay attention to. Maybe it's just because I come from like radio programming world, but it's like, I'm sure that took you a while just to figure out how you wanted to lay the songs out.
It's like writing another song is putting them in order. It's like telling
Right.
a story of like ordering the songs is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hours and hours. But and these little transitions, like there's a transition at the end of Count on Me, which is the second to last song.
Mm-hmm. That goes into the sorry, go ahead.
It starts playing like a voice memo of the piano part when we were writing Fun While It Lasted.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear that, and then suddenly just smoothly transitions into the piano part of Fun While It Lasted. So yeah, we very, very meticulously put these in order and made them all flow into sort of one movie,
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me about working with Diane Keaton, and then this song about your brother that's on this album as well, and like kind of revisiting that.
I mean, Diane Keaton is a legend, obviously. Um, she's just one of the kindest, most real, honest people. She's not really here for all the bullshit, you know. She's also 76 years old, so she's pretty like, I've been around the corner, and
Sure.
she's like, I'm not setting a 5-year plan, like a 5-year goal from now. I'm just like, I'm 76. I'm going to enjoy like my life and where I'm at right now. And I'm like, I'm going to do that here right now at 29. Like that's, if I could adopt that way of thinking so early, I'd probably be better off in life. Yeah, she's just one of the most incredible people in the world. And I've always really looked up to her. And she had a very similar relationship with her brother. And so I basically asked her to sing on this song and told her the story. And we got on the phone, and I was like, I can't believe this is happening. I'm talking to Diane Keaton right now. And she was just like, you're making a big mistake having me on the song. Like, she was just so classically self-deprecating and awesome. And yeah, got in the studio together, and I wept silently while she did her vocals. And she came to sound check two days ago for
yeah.
And just I sat there and I sang Love Is Letting Go, and I started crying, and she was just standing there just like, it was just so like precious, and she's awesome.
That's cool. That's so cool. And I didn't even know that she was like music as far as like a singer, like she would do a record. You know what I mean? And then like to get her, that's a huge accomplishment there as well.
It's literally one of those like, I must be a witch. You know what I mean? Like, like there's no other explanation. Like, I've idolized this woman. There's no one above Diane Keaton for me.
Really?
It's Diane Keaton, then it's Carole King, then it's probably like Justin Vernon, Bon Iver.
Bon Iver, yeah.
Yeah. And then and then I'm out. I'm tapped.
Then you're done.
And then I'm done. And but like Diane takes the cake. She's literally the one. And I think it's just like, I mean, I'm a human and I get emotional and I'm gonna have bad days, but how dare I ever feel sorry for myself? I've literally worked with my hero. Like, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm like, I'm so grateful. And yeah, it's the coolest thing I'll ever get to say I've ever done with my life till I die. Done.
So cool. And then you have a big tour coming up to support the record, and then which is amazing. You're going to be gone for a while, right? I mean, you leave in November.
The Ryman.
You're doing the Ryman. I know. I saw that on May 23rd. I think I just put in my calendar.
Oh, I definitely don't know what day it is, but
I do, because I literally was like, okay, she's playing the Ryman. I got to put it in here.
Yeah, please come. We'll put you on the list. We'll take care of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going. It's a Tuesday. I already figured it all out. But that's super exciting. Has it been a while since you've done a big run of shows?
Honestly, no, not long. Okay. I just got off not just. I was on a 54 show headline tour that started in April.
Oh man, okay.
Of this last year. So it went like April, May, June. And then we did Europe and the UK in May. Okay. And then we did kind of one-off festivals and things like that. But it's been pretty crazy. I'm grateful for all of it though. Also, I met my boyfriend on tour. He was the drummer of the band that opened for me. So
wow.
I'm grateful for tour. Tour's
there
great.
You go. Yeah.
Me very well in the past.
I love it. And thank you so much, Ash, for doing this. I honestly really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, same. And yeah, it's an honor. I hope to see you in Nashville, and I go to Dose Coffee sometimes, meet you there.
Yeah, no, I would love that. I have one more question real quick before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh gosh. I feel like a little bit kind of what I was saying earlier of just like, don't quit. Like, know that it's what you want to do more than anything else in the world, because if you want other things, that's great. Want other things, but don't choose this career then. Like, pick it if you can wholeheartedly go after this for a while. It's just one of those things like you have to fight for. And so know that you really want it and don't quit. Stick around. Like, you're gonna get a lot of no's, and you're gonna feel bad about yourself sometimes, but it's so, there's so much joy wrapped up into getting to do this as a career. So yeah, I guess that's my advice. I'll work on that answer.
That was beautiful.
Bringing it back.